California's drought had become more than just a lack of rain. The Colorado River is their main source of water. Each year, the river decreases in size, and eventually, there will be none left. What's worse is California isn't the only state that drains the Colorado River. Fortunately, there are companies out there that have developed groundbreaking technology to help solve California's water issues in cities such as San Diego, two of which are worth looking into. Cited Desalination is a water desalination company that builds treatment plants next to a body of seawater and is able to convert the salt water for drinkable use. Nexus eWater is a recycled water company that installs fully functioning recycled water systems right into people's homes. While both options help towards the water issue, Poseidon desalination leads to more long-term consequences than Nexus eWater does, making recycled water the better option for California in the long run. The process of desalination is not too hard to follow. First, water gets pumped in from its source. Next, it gets filtered, before getting shoot through tubes at a pressure of 1,000 pounds per square inch. To sum up what happens, the process allows the water and the salt to get separated. The water then gets pumped into local pipes, while the salt gets returned to its source. Now, typical wastewater treatment plants, like the ones in San Diego, take on a different approach. First, water gets collected and filtered before it gets zapped with UV rays for purification. An extra step might be taken if the water is used for consumption. Nexus eWater does essentially the exact same thing. First, water gets collected from all the drains in the household, except for the toilet. The particles then get filtered before the water gets zapped with UV rays. While the final product for Nexus eWater is not used for consumption, it still has its uses around the house. However, a major downside of recycled water is the health concerns. Public media have been using the phrase toilet to tap when mentioning recycled water, and perceiving the public to think of it as something unfiltered and dirty. But in cases like Nexus eWater, sewage is avoided for treatment, and only gray water is used. In cases of an actual wastewater treatment plant, people tend to forget that the water still goes through a process to get purified. The water has to go through 3 different stages of cleaning before used for consumption, and even then, the water may not even be for consumption. A study has been done showing that this concern is only a psychological fear rather than a proven health concern. This might be due to advertising and a history of reliability on bottled water. It could also be due to the lack of trust in California's taps. The article also discussed how severe water problems and a dire need for water would push the public to be more willing to accept new sources, such as recycled water. And with California's situation, it won't be long until that happens. As explained earlier, desalination requires 1,000 pounds per square inch of pressure tubes. That requires a lot of energy, let alone to support the rest of the system. Converting to desalination increases California's energy consumption and is merely shifting the water problem onto the energy problem, which isn't solving a lot in the end. As mentioned, Nexus eWater and other wastewater treatment plants use UV light instead. Though it still requires energy, the process is less intensive than desalination. In addition to the energy problem is the transportation. In San Diego, the nearest desalination plant is Poseidon's, which is all the way up in Carlsbad. While it does decrease the distance of importing water from the Colorado River, San Diego already has 3 wastewater treatment plants located in the city. Outside of San Diego, there is the option of Nexus eWater, which installs their systems directly into homes, providing the minimal amount of transportation. In other words, saving on fossil fuels and energy. Desalination has additional unforeseen environmental impacts. Part of the process of desalination is dumping the collected salt back into its source. This increases the source's salinity and could lead to a continuing cycle of having to upgrade the systems to keep up with the source's increasing salinity. This is one of potentially more environmental concerns. California is known to be environmentally active, and even in the past, Poseidon's actions have not been passed by lightly. Even with desalination's past success, it is still discouraged. Pacific Institute is a water research organization and officially support all sources and methods of getting water. CEO Heather Cooley was interviewed, and when asked about the success of the 13,000 desalination plants in the Middle East, she responds, "There are plants that have been operating for a very long time, but it's generally in areas where environmental concerns were very low, and so there hasn't been a lot of long-term monitoring in those particular facilities." Even the executive chairman of Nexus eWater himself has something to say about desalination. Originally, Nexus eWater was for Australia before they opened up to California, where they are headquartered. When asked to compare the reaction of California to Australia, he states, "One of the things they did right was the emphasis on on-site water reuse. The thing they did wrong? They bet big on things like desalination facilities. I say they did that wrong because it took them 10 years to build those plants, and by the time the plants were online, all of those conservation measures had already kicked in. As a result, two-thirds of the desalination plants in Australia are currently in mothballs." So, what are the benefits of recycled water? Recycled water is very versatile and has many uses. For one, recycled water has uses in local homes. Sometimes water gets used to the minimum before it goes down a drain, such as a quick rinse of hands or washing vegetables. Recycling water is as simple as taking the water from those tasks to water the garden. The so-called dirt in the water would also provide as nutrients for the plants, reducing the need for chemical fertilizers. However, most people don't bother doing this task. Fortunately, Nexus eWater has systems to do this exact task for you, and the water can also be used to flush toilets. This is also a huge benefit for California's large agriculture industry and could potentially save farmers valuable drinking water for actual consumption and even money on fertilizers. Outside of homes, recycled water still has its uses. Water not treated for consumption can be used to replenish important bodies of water, including ponds, groundwater, wetlands, and even golf courses. This would help surrounding ecosystems to thrive and environmentally benefiting the city as a whole. In addition, groundwater replenishment can also provide as a natural substitute for purifying recycled water for drinkable use. This shows the beauty of recycled water. Even when not fully treated, recycled water still has its uses and saves California resources with little to no downsides. The last thing that needs to be discussed is the economics. In terms of water prices, Poseidon Desalination does not change anything. Even though they have groundbreaking technology, at the end of the day, they are still a company that people purchase water from. The fact that Poseidon is still a company, they may not be afraid to raise the bills to support the systems. Nexus eWater reduces water bills but does not substitute purchasing water completely. People would still need to purchase water even after an investment. But comparing between a no change or small change is definitely something California is willing to accept in this dry era. Therefore, Nexus eWater also wins this debate. As final as this may be, we have to remember that California is in a serious drought. Both Poseidon and Nexus eWater are companies trying to make a difference, and it won't help to choose one or the other. But if we have to weigh the facts to choose which one is worth more in the end, recycled water would definitely be the way to go.